Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
This is the Piffles Podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us here this week, a week where the Riders are 2-0. And despite some issues, which we are going to talk about here in the opening kickoff, it's a good week. Anytime the Riders win, the next week it's just golden. So we're in good moods here. As always, you got me. I'm Alex.
You got me. I'm Steve.
And today is day 4 of me asking the Saskatchewan Roughriders to sign Eric Maximovic.
Our good friend Sheldon with the 2-0 podcast. He's on day 13 now of asking the Riders to turn the fourth quarter stretch back to shout.
Yes. So
And I'm
stealing this.
I actually missed that. I miss shout.
I really don't care either way. I dislike both songs. So, but I know we're going to talk about it, but I always got to plug my Thunder guys because the dude's got an awesome leg and he deserves to be in the CFL.
Well, we'll be talking a lot of kicking game coming up here. So thanks for joining us wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube, watching on Saskatown Max TV on demand. You know the socials, you know where to find us. We're easy to find. Just search Piffles Podcast. Piffles Podcast, of course, is brought to you by Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. We're also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Feshton of Roy LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, and Bigfoot Vodka. And big news for us and for everybody listening, we'd like to welcome Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas from 3041 Saskatchewan Drive to the Piffles Podcast family. They're going to be bringing you our game preview, which will come up later on in the show. They're also going to be bringing you our weekly power rankings. And if there's anything that gets people talking, it's power rankings. So they're doing that. And they've been gracious enough to help sponsor our Banjo Bowl bus trip, along with Engelheim's Charter and District 306, which allows us to get more and more prizes to give away on that trip. So we're already giving away a free Rider customized jersey. Maybe we could do 2 now. Who knows? But that's the main one. We got a whole bunch of hats, shirts, hoodies, other stuff we're giving away on the bus. Like, it's going to be a lot of prizes. And just like to welcome Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas to the Piffles Podcast family. So welcome aboard and thank you for the partnership. But we're here to talk some football. Let's get to it. It's time for the opening kickoff. So the Riders at Ticats last week, Saturday night, winning 28-23, moving their record to 2-0 for the, what is that? It's been quite a few years in a row now, hasn't it? They've been 2-0. They've gotten out to hot starts lately.
It's around Labor Day where we need to start worrying.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they
we
kicked
bucked
that out
that
of the way
trend last year.
Yeah. So with this game, should we just get the kicking game out of the way first? Because that's still the big story about that entire game.
If we don't get it out of the way, Brett Lauther might miss another one. So let's go.
Not this week. Brett Lauther obviously had one of his signature bad games. And I hate that they're signature bad games because every year he seems to have one where he's very, very bad like this. Last year was more of a slump than anything, ranged into multiple games. And it was tough because that was right when the Riders were losing a bunch of games. Brett goes 2 of 5, misses 3 field goals, misses an extra point, left 9 points on the board because we did get the single point on one of them. Are you guys concerned about Brett Lauther going forward?
Long answer, no with a but. Short answer, yes with a maybe. Way
to ride that fence there, Greg. Way to go.
I had to get my Simpsons reference in early. I'm not worried about him because he usually locks, like, he kicks better in cold weather for some reason. It seems. I don't know. Come playoffs, he usually finds his groove, and especially he's the best onside kicker in the league. So you always need to have that in your back pocket just in case. That said, that 9 points, 10 points, whatever you want to call it, could have cost us the game. Like that game we should have been like cruising in the fourth quarter, but then we're like white knuckling it with 3 minutes left. Like in the CFL, you cannot leave points on the board, even against a team like Hamilton that's not quite finding their rhythm yet.
Here's the thing with a Brett Lauther. You look back to last year, he had his bad game in Montreal. I think he missed, 4 kicks, cost us a win. But he then closed out the season with 22 consecutive made field goals. This is a guy that, you said it, he has a signature bad game every year. It's just something that happens. And I'd rather him get it out of the way this year on a victory, because now we know we're going to get confident Brett going forwards, we hope. Fingers crossed. These games happen. And if you look at the stats from last week alone, he was not alone on the bad kicking front. Sergio, I believe, missed a couple. Toronto's kicker missed a couple.
Renee Paredes missed two.
It seemed like it was a very bad week in general for kickers across the board. So he has earned a little bit of leeway with Rider Nation. We were all on that cut Brett train last year, and look how his season ended to close it out. So let's all take a step back, give him the chance to right the ship, but maybe have somebody on speed dial if it is a Maximiuk or, maybe a more veteran kicker, who knows, but you maybe have that guy on speed dial going, just stay by the phone.
Here's why I'm not worried about it just yet. The Riders won. Winning hides a lot of problems. Not that this is hopefully not a continuous problem with Brett. But if they were to have lost this game, maybe I'd be singing a different tune. Over the years, he has earned the right to, given the chance to kick out his issues and get one more game. And especially because they won. It's weird. The CFL's weird as opposed to the NFL, where maybe it's because all the kickers are Canadians or globals and they're trying to reach the ratio quota of number of Canadians on the roster. But in the NFL, your kicker misses one kick, he's cut. You miss 3? Are you kidding me? You're not getting another job for a while. But in the CFL, it's just like, whatever, right? Like it's just weird. But with a new holder, with Joe Couch, who wasn't even in training camp the whole time, and then last week the Riders practiced indoors because of the smoke. Brett didn't get to take any kicks in practice last week because the Eventplex is so, like, the roof isn't tall enough. You're not able to actually kick field goals in that building. So he didn't get to practice kicking, and that timing with the new holder just isn't there. So unfortunately, they're going to have to work it out through, I guess this week, and then into the game in Toronto. And I know Darian Durant was on the Sports Cage and said Hamilton's the hardest place to kick with the wind swirling. Sure, okay. But, these are all kicks. Like the 50-yarders, okay, but those are well within his range. The convert every once in a while is whatever, so I'm not too worried about that one. But when you're missing a 28-yarder, when you're missing something like that, like that's a gimme. You have to make those. So if this becomes a problem where he's missing 1 or 2 every game or so, and then the team loses, then I'm going to be on who's available. Can you purge an Eric Maximiuk? Can you call up Boris Beattie? Can you call up, Dean Faithful? Is Campbell Fair available? Like literally anybody. Is Ben Hadley? Well, maybe not Ben Hadley.
No, do not call Ben Hadley.
You're better off calling one of 3 of us. But I sure hope Jeremy O'Day's at least making some inquiries to some agents saying, hey, do you have a kicker that could possibly be ready next week? So I'm not worried yet, but there is concern behind it. But Brett, over the years, has earned that right to get another chance at it.
The good news is Brian Garrity is still available. Nobody's picked him up after the preseason, so we could always go back and... No, please don't do that.
We did a live video after the game, talked about the zone defense, which we didn't like. But one thing we didn't talk about, and we were going to leave it for this, so we'll do it right now. The slap heard round the world. Samuel Emilus slapping Hamilton Tiger Cats defenders in the face. Okay, did he even touch him? Just a little breeze off.
I'm surprised he could play after that hit.
He went down like a rocket.
Where were the concussion spotters on that one?
Yeah,
that's what
no
I want to
kidding.
know.
So your guys' thoughts. Greg, I think you're probably going to be the most vocal on this one. Your thoughts on this heinous attack by Sam Emilus?
If you're going to get 15 yards for that, just make it worthwhile. Like, give him a full forearm shiver. Like, I understand you're trying to get rid of the garbage after the play. Totally understand. But what this is going to do is you're going to get DBs in everyone's faces now, no matter what the outcome of the play. Because if I'm a DB and I got in a guy's face and that got me 15 yards, put them back 15 yards, I'm doing it every time now. Like, why not? What's the harm in it? Like, it's never retaliate. I was always taught in hockey, never retaliate, because that's what they're going to call. But that was so soft, and it was so ridiculous.
The only thing softer was Corey Mace's defense?
Possibly, yes.
I don't even think that was a retaliation. If you look back at it, it almost looked like Emilus went and kind of turned around and swatted at the guy, and it just happened to hit his head. Like, it wasn't one of those where he was aiming for the dude's head. He wasn't trying to backhand him. There was nothing vicious about that hit. No. It was a reaction, a quick, flick of the wrist, and he was moving on. And as soon as you saw the flag go up, you knew what it was. It's the new rule. And it came from, situations like last year with, was it Logan Furland?
Furland first game.
Yeah, right? Like, there are purposes for that flag, and things like that where you're seeing those forearm shots after a play is the reason they brought that rule in. This was not even close to one of those situations. That might have been the worst personal foul penalty I've seen called in a long time. I like the premise of the rule, but they got to use a little common sense, or maybe a lot of common sense.
I was just going to say, at some point, common sense has to prevail on something like this. I know they want to make it a black and white matter and eliminate any kind of gray area, which is clearly what they're going to do. But the second anybody touches a helmet, it better be called from now on. Because if you're gonna call it, then call it, and that's fine if that's what it's going to be. But it has to be consistent all the way through. I better not see a little helmet tap or something. It can't happen. So they better be consistent.
Well, and that's it though, because if you're trying to get away from the gray area in a quote unquote violent game like football, and that's where we're going to get with hitting too. It's like, well, is that high? Is that low? Like, well, the guy kind of stumbled into him and hit him on top of the knee. Well, that's probably a low hit, and you can't do that. Common sense has to come in. Like, unless you're going to take all the contact out of football and just say any touching the opponent is a penalty, you're going to get situations like this where even the lightest glove tap is going to be a flaggable offense.
Again, just let common sense prevail. It was nice in this game knowing that even though Trevor Harris could have a fairly bad game, he still was able to move the ball consistently especially in the second and the third quarter, and score some points, fourth quarter as well too, and score points. So is there any concern at all about the offense just based off what you guys saw?
If there was any concern, that game should have alleviated it. We saw Trevor Harris have probably his worst first half as a rider. Couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. It seemed like everything was either underthrown, overthrown. Or
He was the opposite of Chris Strevler.
why? That
It's
game
coming-
said
it's
more
coming
about
later anyway.
BC's defense than it did about Chris Strevler's offense.
I agree.
Congratulations, you hit wide open receivers all day. You did your literal job. I'm proud of you. Anyways, that's enough about him.
That's getting
Now
clipped.
I've lost
I'm
my
proud about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
great. But like,
And also, thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.
I hate you both.
We know.
Yeah.
But if you look at the game, Trevor Harris was off, and the offense managed to put it together, and the defense held them in it. So there's no real stress around that game. We never felt like the offense wasn't going to put it together. You saw a legitimate running game. You saw actual holes in the O-line to get a running attack through. That hole on AJ Ouellette's touchdown run was one of the that should be in offensive line blocking scheme videos, not to mention wide receivers. Everybody on that play was on. But to me, any concerns I had were alleviated by this game, and any concerns about who our new number one receiver is, they might have been alleviated too. Because I think, was it Greg said Keyshawn Johnson would be our number one?
No, I said
it
it
might
was.
just be.
Yeah, I've been saying. I went into the season saying that he's.
It was Alex. That makes a lot more sense. Greg's never right.
To be fair, though, that's after Emilus got hurt, and Emilus had the better game last week. So let's park the truck on who the better receiver is, because we got two really good receivers,
Yes,
and
we do.
three if you include Myers' amazing catch there at the sideline.
That catch was phenomenal. I said this after on our live broadcast, but the amount of time TSN spent on Kenny Lawler jumping to make a catch and then skipping over what was a substantially better catch from Dante Myers was an injustice that I will not stand for. That was the best catch of the game.
It was a game called like Glenn Suter. Like, of course they're gonna. He has his talking points. One was gonna be Kenny Lawler, so he stuck to it.
Also, I do want to love anything the way Kenny Lawler loves playing the Riders.
Oh,
Just
you can't stop the guy.
You can't.
I had to
I mean,
laugh.
leaving him open isn't really a good defensive scheme, but
No.
that's a whole other conversation.
I had to laugh though, because they were like the entire game they're talking about that Lawler. Oh, that's going to be like top catch of the year. I'm like, he jumped really high, and then you see Dante Myers just like lay out, toe tap. It's like, you want to talk about that one as catch of the year? Let's have that conversation.
Oh, there goes a
Oops.
drink. Steve, I'm glad you mentioned the blocking, the offensive line again on the honor roll for best graded offensive line in the CFL this past week. They did finally give up a sack. It was kind of a team effort between Trayvon Tate and Daniel Johnson, both missing the same guy. But the holes were there in the first half for running the ball. Tightened up a little bit in the second half. Didn't really move the ball on the ground very well. I don't know if that was just, Hamilton trying to figure it out, or just the offensive line reverting back to what we've seen with them over the last couple of years. But they did really, really, really well. And of course, the pass protection was there. Even when it was on Keyshawn Johnson's touchdown, the Ticats brought 7, and the offensive line held up and got a great block and clear out from AJ Ouellette as well, too. And it gave Harris the time to find Johnson at the goal line. So this O-line, and again, well, I'll say it every week, as long as they're doing what they're doing, Edwin Harrison is a genius. So whatever he's doing, keep doing it and give that man more money.
Well, Pro Football Focus mentioned that neither Hardrick nor Furland got beat at all last week. Every one-on-one matchup they had, they won.
Not just last week, all season. Neither of them have been beaten on a pressure yet this year, which says a lot about the left side of that line. Right side? Left side?
Right side.
Right side.
I'm like, that didn't seem right.
Right side and center.
Yeah.
But just the fact we're not even hearing these guys' names on the broadcast, that's a token of appreciation to the offensive line, that they're not getting beat, that you're not seeing the defensive line win those battles. So we're winning in the trenches. And we said that going into the season, this is going to be important. And the D-line getting pressure as well, to not getting the sacks necessarily, but getting quick pressure is key. One more thing on the offense, and I think we briefly mentioned it on the live broadcast following the game, which we had a lot of fun doing. We're going to do that every road game, hopefully every road game, but we'll do that again this.
Well, not
this
Banjo
Friday.
Bowl.
Not,
That Banjo Bowl one
I
would
don't
be
know.
interesting.
We could do that live from the bus after the game. That could be a lot of fun.
And incoherent.
It'll be either really good or really bad. We'll do it while we're still waiting for people to show up to the bus after the game. We're usually there for half an hour after the game ends at the bus, waiting for everybody. So maybe we'll do something. But for sure, we'll do something this upcoming Friday after the game against Toronto. But Tommy Stevens, and we're not going to talk a lot about this. You're not going to hear lots of people talk about it, but just having that guaranteed first down on 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, when he's gaining 4, 5, 2 and 2, it's so important to just keep that offense on the field. And for the first time in quite a few years, I'm not worried about the Rider short yardage. So already whatever they're paying them is paying off big time.
Isn't it nice to be able to just lay back, put your feet up on a 3rd or 2nd and 1 and know you're going to convert? What a welcome change. What a, as a fan base who's so used to all these stressful situations, it's nice to have one taken away and be able to just sit back and relax. The only stress is whether or not he's going to break one.
And
He was close.
It looked like I was going to say, honestly, that one time I think he bounced it out. He probably could have, due to them what he did to us last year. But that tells you, like, what was Shea Patterson doing? It's basically the same offensive line with Hardrick, essentially. And I don't know. And you go from every white knuckling your way, trying to scrape across the pile, to Stevens going, yeah, I'm just going to go get 5 yards. Is that okay, guys? Oh, okay. Let's go.
Well, watch the difference between how Stevens runs. He just puts his head down and hits the hole. Patterson always ran damn near straight up and down. And as a big 6'4" target, the lower you go, the better. And he just never seemed to grasp that. He just went straight up, standing up, like that's the way to go. Stevens has that. He may not be the greatest quarterback out there, but as a short yardage guy, I will take him over anybody in the league, period.
He's not, if he hears that, he's not going to like that, because he came in the season saying he could throw too.
Hey, I'd love to see him get the chance at some point. I don't know if it'll be under our current situation, but
I mean,
I don't mind
hope
it.
not, in the sense that would probably mean injuries.
Give him some garbage time tosses just for fun.
Trevor Harris, Jake Mayer, or Tommy Stevens.
Next question.
All right.
You guys know my answer on that one.
Tommy time?
Yeah, pretty much. And one more thing while we wrap up this game anyway. You got the sign behind you, Steve. Roland Milligan. When the Riders needed a big-time play, their best player came up huge and obviously got that pick 6, which is the Riders', 7th pick 6 on Bo Levi Mitchell, which is crazy to me that we have that many. And it was Milligan's first touchdown. And he's been close a couple times. Got tackled at the one's got to the 3 or 4 yard line on another one as well too. So I was really happy that he was able to score, because Roland Milligan, after meeting him a little bit last year with the MOP signs that we did, he's a very, very nice, humble, very quiet man, but he lets his play on the field speak all the volumes, and just super happy for that guy.
And you could tell he wanted that touchdown. Like it looked like when Deron Carter got that pick, and you knew he was, no matter what he was doing, he was going to the house. And that's the way Milligan looked too. He was looking for holes. He was looking for blocks. It wasn't just, okay, I got it, now I'm going down. It's like I'm going all the way to the end zone. It was an awesome play.
Injuries from that game. We said in post game we didn't really know at the time. It was Sam Emelis. Had a bit of a Charlie horse, is what Corey Mace called it. Did not practice on Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit more about him going into the game preview. But obviously, the depth of the Canadians is there. It's just, what are they going to do without him possibly being available against Toronto? So hopefully it's nothing major. If it was just a Charlie horse. My dog's not around. If my dog came in, either one of them, and saw your cat, Steve, on the screen, they'd lose their minds. Oh my God.
I think it's the first time she's ever been on this chair while I record.
Hopefully it's nothing serious. Maybe keep him out as a precaution for this game. Just make sure you get him right going forward, because the Riders are going to need him. So
I think with this depth, you don't need to rush an injury, especially a Charlie horse. Yeah, whatever. You can probably play through it, but why? Toronto hasn't looked special, and we're going to get to it, so it doesn't matter. But it's just, if you're going to rest them this game.
And just speaking of injuries, just some clerical stuff from last week. Kean Schaefer-Baker and CJ Avery both moved to the 6-game injured list. So hopefully KSB is only the 6 games, and kind of assuming that CJ Avery with a bicep injury, probably a torn bicep is what we're hearing. That would basically put his season to an end. So just no more big injuries.
Our 6-game injured list might be an all-star list the way things are going. There's a lot of good names on that list, and we can't afford many more.
We should actually run our 6-game injury list from the last couple seasons just to see what kind of roster we could build.
They'd make the playoffs, I'll tell you that much.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Well, the Riders win the game 28-23, moving to 2-0. Ultimately, that's all that matters. At the end of the year, they're not going to ask about how they won this game. Nobody's going to care. Bottom line, they won the game. Got to beat the East teams when you play them, especially early in the year like this. So beat the teams you're supposed to, and that's exactly what they did. Good teams find ways to win, even when they're not playing their best, which I think is exactly what we saw on Saturday with the Riders. So
speaking of the East, I love that we heard before the season that this might be the season that you see an East crossover. Maybe it could happen. It could potentially happen. And they have a combined 2 wins after 2 weeks, both of them Montreal. Don't think I'm going to worry about that crossover quite yet.
They're looking like a wagon. My goodness. Well, that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level. Let's get to Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. Steve,
I love that it was replacement Steve last week. You
got to give us more than 5
I didn't
minutes.
get Keith Toston, so
I have faith in you this week. So Greg's going to give us some hints. We're going to guess that former rider. Let's remember that guy.
I'm a little worried that the first thing might get it, because I don't think too many riders went to Slippery Rock University, but we're going to try. 2-sport athlete at Slippery Rock University, both track and football, and is in their Hall of Fame. Held records for reception TDs, all-time purpose yards, long jump, and indoor 200 meters, but have since been surpassed. Still holds the records for yards per catch, punt return yards, kick return touchdowns, punt return touchdowns, and longest punt return in school history. Has called Hamilton and Ottawa home. 3-time Division All-Star, 1-time League All-Star, and a Grey Cup champion. 11 touchdowns with the Riders. 3-time...
I think I got it.
All right, who?
Do I want to guess, or do I want to let other people continue?
No.
Do I
take a shot?
Yeah.
Is it DJ Flick?
It is DJ Flick. 3-time 1,000-yard receiver and started the 2007 West semifinal with a bang.
Well, I would
David,
have got it off that.
yeah,
Yep.
David Julius Flick.
Huh.
You could have
After-
said one of the guys that snapped his leg in 2008.
Yeah,
Because that was probably like 16 names we could have tried to guess through. So
Oh, what an awful year.
yeah. No, and actually, after school, he went back, got his degree, and then got his master's at Alabama after that as well.
Yeah.
Right
He's
on.
working in the government in Illinois. He worked for the city of Chicago in their safety department as an advisor, and now he's working for some other government, intergovernment thing. So
So his email's got to be easily available. So send him a note. Let's get him on the show.
goes by David now, no longer DJ.
He's
I found that out.
professional.
What else was I going to say? He's got 3 kids. 2 of them are named Lincoln.
Really?
Yeah, Lincoln Steven and Lincoln Julius, actually, I think, off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look it up.
Probably call him LJ, I would assume.
But the other one would be Steven or LS? I don't know. LJ makes sense to me, but
Steven's a good strong name. I would go with that.
you know what? Why would you damn it? Why would you damn a kid like that? But yeah,
Also,
DJ Flick.
like a part of probably the greatest rider trade
Oh yeah,
I've ever seen.
that was almost one of my things. Like that trade was so ridiculous.
That was I mean, coming full circle, the first guy that we had on Remember That Guy, Rocky Butler.
Yep.
That was DJ Flick and Wayne Smith from Hamilton for Rocky Butler. And we got Chris Getzlaff in that as well
We did.
too, as
We did.
a neg list. Or sorry, practice roster, I think he was.
Didn't we also get the rights for Darian Durant in that trade too?
No, Durant was in the expansion draft trade for Kerry Joseph.
Oh right, that was it.
Anytime we trade with Hamilton, it works out really well for us.
So good for us.
Yeah.
We should find a way to give them a call and see what they can offer us. Just
Have you seen their roster this year?
get Kenny Lawler.
Yeah.
Would he play as well for us as he does against us?
Who cares? He's not playing against us.
That's a good point.
It's worth it just to not have him put up 100.
Yeah, you put him on the 6, give him a paper cut, you put him on the 6th game, you don't have to worry about him ever again.
Exactly.
We'll pay you. You're fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go away.
But I mean, DJ Flick, I'll never forget that 2007 West semifinal, that first play on that post corner from Kerry Joseph, getting down the sidelines. Like that's a play that's going to live forever in Rider infamy.
That's when you felt like you knew we were winning the cup. There was just something about that team. And yes, the next week, we watched Darian Durant I'm now
Kerry
mixing
Joseph.
up 07 and 2013. Never mind, ignore me. Yeah.
No, but that and we go back. I don't know if it's because we're romanticizing that 2007 team. That entire year, there was, when you look back, there was the blackout game, the West Final, the Labor
Day. Yeah.
Well, see, the Labor Day game, that was when I knew this team was gonna win the championship. When they won that game and I was like, this is it. This is the team that's gonna finally do it. But even go back further than that, the opening game of the season, they win in Montreal. They hadn't won in Montreal in how many years? They were getting blown out every single game in Montreal. First game with Ken Austin as a coach, expectations maybe not super, super high. I think it was 16-7 that they won. And maybe this is a guy for your Remember That Guy. I'll throw a name out here. Do you remember who had the touchdown for the Riders in that game?
I do not.
No. He was a running back. He caught a receiving touchdown in that game. It was just before Wes Cates got traded here because he got traded for Rob Lazio the next week. Henri Childs.
Oh yeah.
There's a good Remember That Guy. Wow.
I couldn't tell you anything else he did in his entire career other than catch that one touchdown reception against Montreal. I think he played for Montreal before that. I don't remember for sure, but then we got Wes Cates, and then we didn't really need Childs anymore. So I think they released him not too many weeks later. But when they won in Montreal, I was like, okay, there's something to this team. And-
Henri Childs had 38 rushes that year, so I doubt it was one game.
So he had a couple games.
He had 2 touchdowns and 1 fumble.
There you go.
Mhm.
What a special year. But getting DJ Flick, oh my God, I still can't believe that was Eric Tillman was able to make that happen. Like, what a.
So many former Renegades came to this team and did such good work.
God bless them. All right, well,
but not the Pretenders.
No.
God bless the Pretenders.
As we saw on YouTube. DJ Flick on Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306. Let's get to our Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. Let's talk about a couple of the other games last week. Steve,
I'm gonna leave for a few minutes.
Yeah, might want to
duck
do
out
that.
if you want. Yeah, you might want to duck out.
BC at Winnipeg. I thought he was actually just going to get up and walk away.
Yeah, I think we kicked each other. He shoved his camera. There you go. I actually kicked him out.
Yeah.
Chris Streveler looked good.
Did he?
Did he?
Yeah. Here's the thing. So yes, BC made it ridiculously easy. I think I could have thrown for 300 yards in that game with how wide open they were leaving the receivers. But I will give kudos to Chris Streveler. He made the throws he had to. And some of them were, not a ton of yards through the air, but it was a lot of yak yards. I hate that, yak yards. Yards after the catch. But the throws that he had to make, he did. And so kudos to him for making those.
But also, what does it say about BC's defense when a rookie running back also makes you look ridiculous?
And that was why Roland Milligan should have been the number one player on the list for TSN's top 50 players. Yep. Because when you can have a backup running back come in and rip off 130 yards and a touchdown, that's a scheme.
Yeah, so Brady Oliveira, scheme running back. I had to hear about Tom Brady for years. Brady Oliveira, yeah, he's just a product of the system.
There you go.
When you look at it, you go from Andrew Harris to Brady Oliveira, now to this dude. It's clear that it's just game planning. It's not the guys behind center or behind the guy behind center.
Wish we had that problem.
He's just a dude behind another dude behind a bunch of dudes.
In front of even more dudes. But yeah, BC looked terrible. But it was Nathan Rourke, 0-4 now against Winnipeg, but 12-5 I think against everyone else, or 14-5, whatever his record is. So for whatever reason, Winnipeg's his kryptonite.
Oh, I'm certain we're going to hear about how they had a short week and had to fly halfway across the country too, because no other team has to deal with that
ever.
I've never understood the short week on a team that's playing the bye week or playing after their bye week. That's a whole different bone to pick. But of course, Winnipeg got that benefit.
Montreal and Ottawa last week. Montreal's defense, again, scoring another touchdown. They're on another level right now. They're clearly, to me right now, the class of the CFL.
Danny Machocha as a GM is the anti-Danny Machocha as a coach.
But he has a Grey Cup as a coach.
Wasn't his team. Wasn't his schemes. He just came in, coached it for a year and sucked after that. He won in his first year. I hate hearing, he's a Grey Cup winning coach. Yeah, he was terrible as a coach. That's like saying,
tell us how you really feel.
Well, okay, sorry. Everyone wants to talk about Dickey in 2019. Well, holy cow, we found the next quarterback savant, next coaching savant. No, you found Danny Machocha, the nude version. That's what Dickey was. My Lord, maybe Dickey's going to be a good GM. We don't know. He wasn't a good coach.
I had no idea you felt so passionately about
Danny Machocha.
About Danny Machocha.
I hate him. I don't know why.
Of all the things to be passionate about, Danny Machocha.
Go see if Danny Machocha's on Cameo.
I agree. Well, no, he's actually probably making money as a GM now, so he probably doesn't need to do that. But Anyway, yeah, no, I don't like Danny Machocha. I try to keep it hidden.
Here's the Montreal question for you. Is Davis Alexander for real?
I think he is.
Yeah,
Can
I think he is
Montreal
too.
stop getting, good quarterbacks? That'd be really nice to not have to deal with them having a really good quarterback behind center for a long stretch. I think they should, step back a little bit.
They had those like 3 years. Remember, they
Yeah.
had Johnny Manziel. Remember?
I was going to say, what are you talking about? Like,
I
they had
need longer.
They had Calvillo and nothing until we excommunicated Cody, and then they went from all of a sudden they found the next guy immediately though.
I realize as a Packers fan, complaining about a team that's just going from good quarterback to good quarterback is a little bit, not okay, but a little hypocritical. But can they just suck for a little while longer? I don't like it. I do agree though. He does look legit. And we saw it last year. There's a reason why Montreal moved on from Cody Fajardo. They saw what we all saw. Let's see if he can do it over an 18-game stretch.
I would like to point out though that the good quarterbacks in Montreal usually win more than one championship before they move on.
Calgary and Toronto. Is Calgary a good team? Were we all wrong about them?
No.
Obviously, they have the injury now to Reggie Baggleton. That looked pretty bad, where he's probably out long term.
Yeah.
But with Vernon Adams, they have a run game now, and Vernon's playing like early season Vernon anyway.
Here's the funny thing is I want to make fun of their quality of opponent, but we played the same opponents, so it's really difficult to tell you if they're good or not. But considering their opponents have been weak, I don't know if they're that good, and I guess the same could be said about the Riders. I don't know. Like that's the worst part is I like VA. I think he's always going to be disrespected no matter where he goes. I don't believe in their defense. I think once they hit more sturdy competition, that defense, it's going to be a horse race. Yeah, the offense is going to put up points, but I think it's going to be a horse race.
And I think that's the biggest difference when you look at the Riders versus the Calgary Stampeders is on the defensive side of the ball. Everybody can look at our team and see that we have a championship caliber defense. Maybe not so much between the 20s, but closer to the end zone. Whereas Calgary's defense is their big question mark, and they really haven't faced an opponent that makes you go, no, maybe they are for real. So they really are the I don't know mark of the CFL right now, because everybody else you can kind of look at them and go, yeah, they're pretty much who we thought they were, Toronto not included. Guess we're going to kind of find out over the next few weeks.
The 2025 class of Canadian Football Hall of Fame players was announced last week after our show, of course. One rider tie, kind of. Wasn't a player, so I don't know if he can fit into remember that guy. Maybe he can one day, I'm not sure. Jermaine Copeland, great receiver, obviously with the Calgary Stampeders all those years. He was the Riders receiver coach in 2016. I'm not sure if I'd put that on the resume if I were him, because that team sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going in there. Brian Chu on the O-line, Javon Olafioye on the offensive line as well. Defensive back Scott Flegel and linebacker Darryl Hall. And in the builders category, Regina Rams longtime head coach Frank McChrystal, going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, as is CFL ref Glenn Johnson.
Speaking of Riders ties,
yeah,
at least
etched in our brains.
At least Ferland can now hang his Glenn Johnson signed referee flag.
What?
When CFL week was here in Regina, they had that to make the call thing, and afterwards Ferland won a flag during that, so he went up to Glenn Johnson and got him to sign it. Apparently a super nice dude, but hate him until the end of time.
Yeah,
just for that That call that he didn't even make. He just
He didn't
had to be
make
the
the call.
one to
He had to
announce
be one to
it.
call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Screw him until forever, but congratulations on getting into the Hall of Fame.
I'm gonna rewind this over to Frank McChrystal because I had to laugh because it was the Grey Cup here. It was heavily rumored that he was going in the Hall of Fame that time, and I think I like the situation where you think that there's a movie with Sinbad as a genie called Kazam or Shazam or whatever the hell it is. I thought it. Yeah, I know it was Shaq, but there's a bunch of people that swear to God that there's a movie with Sinbad as a genie. It's like the entire Mandela effect, but it's pretty funny. But I thought he was already in the Hall of Fame. Like when he came, like I thought he went in the year that the Riders hosted the Grey Cup last. No, but yeah, no, well deserved though. Awesome coach, lots of championships. Regina Rams Junior Club, not the university club where they are now, was an absolute wagon.
Yeah.
And the Thunder are trying to and if they, I don't say if they never left, the Hilltops wouldn't have as many championships as they did.
I mean, probably not.
It'd be like it's one of those things we'll never know. But the Thunder and the Hilltops rivalry is probably just as good as the Rams and the Hilltops was as well at this point. So, yeah, no, great coach, well deserved to go in the Hall of Fame for his work with the Rams.
Want to bring up the BC Lions ticket deal we saw just as another kind of elbow to Craig Reynolds. I know they can do it in BC with 50,000 seats that they can try and sell, but they're selling an 8-game season ticket pack left. So obviously they had their home opener in the preseason games. So ticket for all 8 games remaining and a jersey, the fog colored jerseys, $199, 8 games and a jersey for $200.
For less, so was it $40? I guess that'd be $40 more than an unmarked jersey is. Like, that's $5 a ticket.
That's 7 free games.
Like, why not try something like that? Like, I understand, and don't get me wrong, if they do that, there's gonna be a ton of season ticket holders that are gonna be very upset. Very upset.
Sure.
Especially the ones with multiple season tickets who only got one MVP jersey.
Yeah.
But get people in the stands. Right now, the Riders have 10,000 empty seats for basically every single game. Fill those somehow. Figure something out. Do a promotion like this. Doesn't have to be a jersey, but you get a shirt and tickets for $40, $50, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Figure something out. I'll just leave it there. And I will bring this up really quick. We don't know what our plan is. We just briefly talked about it before we hit the record button tonight. The Mascot Hall of Fame, and there is a Mascot Hall of Fame.
There is.
Announced there, because it's actually International or National Mascot Day.
It is.
On Tuesday night here. Announced their class of 2025. The Houston Texans mascot got in. I think his name is El Toro. They've been around for what, just over 20 years? Something like the early 2000s, 2002 maybe? Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, early university for me. Yeah.
So just over 20 years. Okay, sure. You know who's celebrating 50 years next year? Gainer the Gopher. Piffles Podcast is going to get Gainer in the Mascot Hall of Fame. Don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. We'll get him in there next year for his 50th season.
Do we try to get in Meth Head Gainer or the original, chunky Gainer or the new in shape Gainer?
Probably the cute chunky one that actually like
the OG. The original Gopher, the OG.
Yeah.
The OG. Yeah.
And Leonard has to induct him. Cousin Leonard has to.
Where did he go?
He'll show up for this.
To the great Gainer hole in the sky.
Yeah.
Still doing something in Parkbag. running the cafe there. But anyway, we're gonna figure something out. We're gonna do something. Why is that so funny?
You know why? And I always blurted out my inner thoughts. Anyway.
we're going to get Gainer in the Hall of Fame. So that's a project we're going to start working on. We're going to need some help with that. Do we do lawn signs again? Those seem to go over pretty well. We'll figure something out. How can we get Gainer in the Hall of Fame? If you have any suggestions, let us know, and we'll try and make it happen.
Hit the comments.
That's right.
Comments and subscribe. Anyway.
Okay, well, let's jump here. Time to look at this upcoming game against Toronto on Friday. Our enemy preview presented by Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. Sam Emelis did not practice on Tuesday. They're only going to practice on Wednesday in a closed practice, so no one's going to see what's going on. And then Thursday is the travel day. So short week in terms of preparation. Joe Robustelli in the starting unit in place of Sam Emelis. So let's get some thoughts on that. Obviously, that hurts the Canadian depth. Obviously, you're losing a 1,000-yard receiver for this game from the looks of it. But it's one of those where Joe Robustelli looked really, really good in preseason. Is the next receiver just in general to get a chance here. And last week the Riders started 8 Canadians, so they don't have to worry about flipping the ratio anywhere in terms of starters to make this work, with Robustelli being an American player. So they can seamlessly do it. It's just who comes off the roster for Robustelli to get in.
Can I just say it's amazing to me that we managed to start 8 Canadian players while having 3 Americans on the offensive line?
Yeah.
What a way to look at our Canadian depth and give Jeremy O'Day a huge thumbs up.
Absolutely.
I'm a little concerned going from Samuel Emelis to a Joe Robustelli. And that's not a knock on Robustelli. It is more of a thumbs up to how well Emelis has performed so far this year, and just as a whole, as a rider in his career. It's hard to replace a 1,000-yard receiver, and it's even harder to replace a 1,000-yard Canadian receiver. That is a big deal, and it is a slight concern, but it's one of those things where if it was any other team right now, I'd be a little worried, but Toronto just doesn't look like the Grey Cup champs of 2024. I don't know that there's anybody out there that should be afraid of the Toronto Argonauts right now. And if there was a game to see what Joe Robustelli could do, this might be it. Because you are going to have to test that depth throughout this season. Injuries happen all year round. And if you can give Emelis a week off, even if he's 95%, give him that week off. Bring Robustelli in. You've got the depth. See what he's got.
Let's speaking of the Argos, let's be honest though, the 2024 Argos didn't look like Grey Cup champions until they were Grey Cup champions. Like, everyone was shocked they beat Montreal, and even more shocked that they beat a very tepid Winnipeg team, especially with Nick Arbuckle, who looks like Nick Arbuckle again, not whatever he was in the Grey Cup.
BDN in the Grey Cup.
As a Toronto Argonauts fan for exactly 2 days over the last 3 years, I take offense to that comment. That's our Grey Cup champs you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. wait till you and me get our rings and we can wear them on screen.
I got my one from 3 years ago.
So do I. It's right here.
Yeah. Mine's too far away.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact remains, this is the game where you definitely let Emelis have a week off. You don't need to rush him back unless he is 99. Even if he's 99%, I don't know if I let him go. You got Dante Myers. You've got Keyshawn Johnson. You got fourth quarter Mitch. You got guys you can throw the ball to where you don't need Emelis. Yeah, Emelis is your down the field guy, but make Robustelli it, and maybe you toss a few his way, see what he can do, because he's looked good over the last 2 years that he's been on the roster, either on the practice roster or even on preseason. So I worst case scenario is you flip Fry to start it over Brammer, and then you make him the designated American and move him back with those convoluted rules. Who cares?
We can get into those rules, but it's just but with the Riders receiving group, it does kind of worry me not having Emilus because KSB is out as well too. So our top 2 Canadian receivers are out. So, I mean, Del Duncan Busby had a pretty good game against Hamilton. I think he had 54 yards, 59 yards, something like that. So he's had a few good games in his career. Obviously, this is going to get him a bump up in production now without Emilus. But it's really thin behind them now. It's just Picton. I just said his name and I'm blanking on Del Duncan Busby and Deshaun Mims, who's, I mean, by all accounts, looks like he could be a good prospect, but he's still very, very raw, right? Like we have no idea what we have with him. He's very green.
But the fact remains is if Harris doesn't throw the ball their way, they're not going to get the yards. Like DDB only had 6 targets and he caught 5 of them. Like Keyshawn Johnson had 11 targets, Emilus had 8. Like that's a Harris targeting problem, not a guys can't catch the ball problem. Like
when you have guys like Keyshawn Johnson, who's, I mean, that I said it on our live post game was looked like Cody to Shaq from 2019. Those slants from Harris to Keyshawn Johnson, it was just nonstop. That looked exactly like the 2019 offense, but it worked. So, I mean, I'm not worried about, throwing all the targets one way, because clearly that's what's working. That's what worked in week 1 with Sam Emilus having that big game. It worked in week 2 with Keyshawn Johnson having the big game. It just goes to show you can't really focus on one guy because we do have playmakers there. So I'm not too worried, but.
And if you look at Robustelli going back to the preseason game against Winnipeg, and this should alleviate one of your concerns, Greg, he went for 6 catches, 119 yards, but he was our deep guy in that game. There was at least 2 deep balls thrown his way, one for 48 yards. To me, he is that guy, probably the most likely guy on the roster that can replicate what Sam Emilus offers this team. Not to knock Emilus or to compare the two, but if you're going to put somebody in that spot, Robustelli is probably the best guy for the job.
Oh no, and I get it. My point is you can't, like we were kind of talking about earlier about the drop off from the receivers privately before the show started, and it's because like it's not the fact that there a bunch of Kenny Staffords out there and aren't catching it. It's just the fact that Harris is just locking in on guys, which at some point is going to backfire on him.
So Robustelli coming in, who does he get on the roster for? You got to take an American off. Is it one of the running backs, Kadeem Carey? I don't think so. I think it'll probably be Aaron Patrick, defensive lineman, who's really hasn't gotten much play time over the first couple games, just very minor rotational role. To me, that makes the most sense since we were carrying 9 defensive linemen on the roster anyway. Because I think with the way that AJ and Kadeem Carey played against Hamilton, you got to have them both on the roster. And especially again, going up against Toronto, Kadeem Carey is going to be very, very motivated this week. And obviously another week with the system, getting his legs back under him and learning the playbook, he'll probably get some more touches than he got, the 3 carries and a reception, the four touches that he got in Hamilton, to keep, that rotation of running backs anyway, that 1-2 combo, that split, just to keep them both fresh. And I think that's going to work wonders for this team in the long run, is having a guy like AJ healthier for the stretch run. And you have a Kadeem Carey who can, he's a 1,000-yard rusher, right? So you got to keep both of them on the roster, even if you're going to ride the hot hand, even if that's the plan. And let's say it's AJ and he gets 25 carries and Carey only gets 1, so be it. But you got to have them both on the roster.
Well, and the bigger question mark you look at it is the next guy on our talking point is who makes room for Bertrand Houdon when he likely comes back this week? Because that's a guy,
Sam Emilus.
even if, true. But if Emilus is healthy, that's a guy that you absolutely bring onto the roster. Not even necessarily what he does in the backfield, but more what he does in special teams. That's a guy that you do not keep off the roster. So now you're going to be looking at potentially 3 running backs on your roster, where do you find the space? And there are holes or spots you can do it, but it's a great problem to have.
I think the easiest answer would be on probably one of the Canadian linebackers.
It's probably Weeb.
I assume so.
Or Straker, I guess.
Yeah, Weber Straker would be the low man on the totem pole on that one. But maybe XMA, but then there goes your backup DB.
Yeah, you can't really get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
Good problems to have when you're talking about, oh, geez, we have too much Canadian depth. No Peyton Collins in practice again. I'm surprised they didn't six game him, because I don't think he's going to be back for a while. Plus Daniel Johnson, maybe this is the week that they 6-game Peyton Collins. Daniel Johnson at left tackle was very, very good in his first start there. The one sack allowed, but I think it was a tandem. Him and Tate both kind of messed up on that one, but Daniel Johnson,
I don't
turn out to be a stud for a 5th round draft pick.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was like 5th round too, wasn't he?
5th round last year.
And
at this point, I've stopped wondering who they trot out at offensive line as long as Edwin Harrison is the coach.
And imagine if we get all of our early draft picks from the next couple of years in the offensive line.
Oh goodness.
Oh my Lord.
I think a key to this game obviously is staying disciplined. This is a big difference than what we saw from the team last year, especially early in the season last year. Only 8 penalties against in the first 2 games. So if you're only taking 4 penalties a game, and usually one of them is an offside or something, that's not too bad. So that's a key. But also on the Argos side of things, we talked about Chad Kelly still out with an ingrown toenail. 3 games, really? I'm not sure about that. But
how big are his feet? Seriously, what is the issue? Just cut the toenail, put a Band-Aid on, get some polysporin. What is the issue? This is nuts.
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
kind of Fred Flintstone feet does he have?
I should call him Twinkle Toes from now on.
Nice and slow, see, nice and slow. That's the way to do it. Anyway.
But I think another big loss for the Argos in this one, obviously, anytime you lose your starting quarterback and you go down to your backup, that's a big loss. But no Winton McManus at linebacker for the Argos.
That's huge for them.
With the way that the running game opened holes last week, I kind of expect Mark Mueller's offense to have the running game as a pretty serious focal point and test that linebacker right in the middle. Go right up the gut.
That's D'Arcangelo too, isn't it? I think is the guy that stepped in.
Yeah.
Can't talk today. Winston McManus to me is right up there with Roland Milligan for best defensive player in the league. Any chance you can play the Toronto Argonauts without him in the linebacking core, you take it running as fast as possible. He is, to me, he's that straw that stirs their defensive drink. And if he's gone,
toothpick, if you will.
Yes.
If he's gone, you're laughing all the way to the bank.
Well, Riders Argos this upcoming Friday, just on paper, going up against the backup quarterback, and no Winton McManus, should be a game the Riders win, which makes me worried about it.
Yep.
Been a fan of this team for too long. I know it's coming.
Anytime we go into a game confident, we know what's happening.
Exactly.
Hey, at least it's not Spurgeon win.
I hate that man so much.
So do I.
Oh my God.
I will never forget. The only memory I have of Spurgeon win was the game. Was it him that broke his jaw at Mosaic, and there was the cheerleaders dancing around him?
Oh, when he was with Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally the only
that was the
memory
Ricky
I have
Williams game too. Ricky Williams got hurt that game too.
Yeah, and he walked out of the stadium and you pitched a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember all of the cheerleaders make way, like the kids having to make way for the ambulance. They were not giving up their chance to be on the field. Injury be damned. Oh.
I used to say it was an irrational hate of Spurgeon win, but I think it's very rational.
It is rational.
I think
Honestly.
so. Yeah.
All right. Well, last thing to do on the show. Time to take a look at the games this week and make our picks. It's time for Piffles Picks.
Piffles Picks.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
And you guys are living proof of that. You're both 4-4 right now. 2-2 each week. You're very consistent. And actually, so am I. 3-1 each week. The only games I've gotten wrong is betting against the Calgary Stampeders.
In fairness, the fact that anybody picked the Stampeders to win is odd to me.
I'm never going to pick them anyway. So let's get to it. First game of the week on Thursday, Montreal at Edmonton. I'll take a stab at this one, Steve, if you want to take the next one. I will guess that Montreal is favored by 5.5. Oh,
I was going to let you have that one because I saw that in a 3 Down Nation article. So
Yeah,
I
so
can't
did
take
you?
that one.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that they posted it. Okay, well,
Yeah. So there you go.
I'm still going to take the Alex was right on that.
Yeah, he has.
As you
His
should.
line has moved to 6.5, though. But yes, Montreal's expected to go in there and punch him in the throat.
I expect them to. I think their defense is good, so damn good right now that Trey Ford is not going to know what the hell to do. So I'll take Montreal easily on that.
As much as I want to take Edmonton in this one, I can't. It's Montreal, and it's by far more than a touchdown.
I'm there with you as well. There's no way I can take Trey Ford against a defense that's actually going to make him get to his second read. So we're good.
Friday night, Riders and Argos. Steve?
I'm going to go Riders by 3.5.
Riders 2.5.
Damn.
I'm good at this. Wow. I promise I did not see anything before. I never look at this stuff.
I'm still taking the Riders.
A field goal, huh?
Oh, God. Oh, Brett Lauther's got his bad game out of the way. We're good.
Touche. All right, you convinced me. I'll take the Riders in this one.
I am also taking the Riders.
It's just the Nick Arbuckle factor for me.
Oh, yeah. Garfield's owner ain't going to get it done.
All right. Ottawa at Calgary. I'll guess it's Calgary by 1.5.
Jeez. Okay, but here's the funny
No
part.
one's going to
It's
believe
moved.
me that I haven't looked at this.
It's moved. Ottawa's now the favorite
Really?
by 1.5. It is completely moved.
That's funny because I was going to say Ottawa by 1.5.
Okay, well, we're going with, obviously, it's the opening spread, which is Calgary 1.5. Changes nothing because I'm not going to pick Calgary.
I'm going to take Calgary this week. What are you going to do, Greg?
I trust Alex more than I trust Steve. No,
That is a good call. If
It
the
is a
last
good
year and a
call.
half in Piffles Picks has taught us anything, it is do not bet on my picks.
But I it's the Pretenders though. Oh,
Drew Brown's back. Who's Vernon Adams going to throw to?
I guess Bagleton's gone. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Ottawa.
Although
it is.
Jalen Philpott did have that nice breakout
He
game,
did.
so if both Philpott twins ball out like that was a good thing to see.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Ottawa. Yeah, they get a 1.5. So even if it's close,
Well, congratulations, Ottawa, because Lord knows if I pick different than the two of you, it doesn't go well.
And the final game of the week, Winnipeg at BC.
I'm going to take Winnipeg by 3.5.
Winnipeg 2.5.
You've got to be
sweat
kidding
that.
me.
That's amazing. This is the greatest night of my life.
okay, spit your gum up and knock it out of the air.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect over here. You guys go first. I know who I'm taking, so
I'm going to take BC.
I hope you're right, Steve. I do. And not just to cover the 2.5 points, but to win the game.
Oh, of course.
BC looks like not good. This hurts. This hurts me so much.
You don't have
BC
to
looks
say
like
it.
not good.
You don't have to say it.
Okay, I'm not taking BC.
Okay. Talk about the kryptonite already. Nathan Rourke doesn't know how to beat these guys.
No.
Just he can't. So for that reason, I'll take Winnipeg.
BC's defense looks so bad, and that's my only thing. They couldn't stop Peterson last week. They got Zach Collaros back. Collaros is a better thrower, barely, than Chris Trevler. They made Wheatfall look like a decent receiver. BC's defense is terrible.
I hope, Steve, I hope you're right on this one.
I
hope so
don't,
too.
but I hope you're not. But still, I wouldn't hate it if you were.
This just in. Greg is cheering for Winnipeg.
No, I'm not.
That's what you just said. You hope I'm wrong. You hope I'm wrong.
I do hope you're wrong. I hope it's a tie.
No, that's only Calgary and Ottawa.
Yeah, and only Steve gets to call the ties.
Yep.
Well, we'll leave it there with our Piffles Picks. That'll do it this week for the Piffles Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Wherever you watch the show, listen to the show. We appreciate that. Piffles Podcast is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, go to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and of course, our new sponsor, Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas, for their support, making the show possible. We'll see you Friday night after the Rider game. We'll do a live video then with some thoughts and bring those comments. Looking forward to it then. This is Goes Behind Your Mind by Tyler Gilbert.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.